In the remote town of Hollowbrook, nestled deep within the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, there was a legend whispered among the locals. It was a tale of an ancient curse that plagued those who dared to sleep, a sinister force that crept into the minds of the slumbering, twisting dreams into nightmares and turning rest into torment. The tale began centuries ago when Hollowbrook was just a fledgling settlement, founded by pioneers seeking refuge from the chaos of the outside world. But as the town grew, so too did its secrets. Among them was the story of the Sleeping Horror, a malevolent entity said to reside within the dark depths of the nearby woods. According to legend, the Sleeping Horror would prey upon those who slept, feeding off their fears and draining their life force until they withered away into nothingness. Many dismissed the tale as mere superstition, but others whispered of strange occurrences and unexplained disappearances that seemed to coincide with the onset of sleep. As time passed, the legend of the Sleeping Horror faded into obscurity, relegated to little more than a cautionary tale told to frighten children into obedience. But in the heart of Hollowbrook, the fear never truly died. It lingered in the shadows, waiting for the day when it would awaken once more. Emily Reed had always been drawn to the mysterious allure of Hollowbrook. As a journalist with a penchant for the supernatural, she had heard whispers of the town's dark history and felt compelled to uncover the truth buried beneath centuries of secrecy. Arriving on a crisp autumn morning, Emily was greeted by the sight of towering pines swaying gently in the breeze, their branches casting long shadows that seemed to dance across the forest floor. There was an eerie stillness to the air, as if the very land itself held its breath in anticipation of her arrival. As Emily made her way into town, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was as if the eyes of the forest were upon her, studying her every move with a predatory intensity. Ignoring the unease that gnawed at her, she pressed on, determined to uncover the truth that lay hidden within Hollowbrook's murky depths. In her quest for answers, Emily sought out the oldest resident of Hollowbrook, a wizened old woman named Agatha, who was said to be the keeper of the town's secrets. Finding her nestled in a cozy cottage at the edge of the woods, Emily braced herself for the revelations to come. Agatha's eyes twinkled with mischief as she regaled Emily with tales of the Sleeping Horror, weaving a tapestry of darkness that sent shivers down her spine. According to Agatha, the curse had plagued Hollowbrook for generations, claiming the lives of countless souls who dared to close their eyes and sleep. But it was not just the curse itself that terrified the townsfolk. It was the knowledge that the Sleeping Horror was not bound by the laws of the physical world. It existed in the realm of dreams, a shadowy presence that lurked just beyond the threshold of consciousness, waiting to ensnare its next victim. As Emily listened, she couldn't help but feel a chill creep into her bones. There was something about Agatha's words that rang true, a primal instinct that screamed of danger lurking just beyond the safety of the waking world. Determined to unravel the mystery of the Sleeping Horror, Emily delved deeper into the history of Hollowbrook, scouring ancient texts and dusty archives in search of clues. The more she uncovered, the more elusive the truth became, like trying to grasp at shadows that slipped through her fingers. It wasn't until she stumbled upon a forgotten journal hidden in the depths of the town library that Emily began to piece together the puzzle. Written by a long-deceased resident named Samuel Blackwood, the journal detailed his encounters with the Sleeping Horror and his desperate struggle to free himself from its grasp. According to Samuel's writings, the curse had its origins in an ancient ritual performed by the indigenous tribes who once inhabited the land. Seeking to harness the power of the dream world, they had unwittingly unleashed a malevolent force that had since haunted the town of Hollowbrook. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Emily was determined to confront the Sleeping Horror head-on. But little did she know that her investigation would awaken forces far more sinister than she could have ever imagined. As night fell over Hollowbrook, Emily found herself drawn to the edge of the forest, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. With each step she took, the darkness seemed to close in around her, suffocating her with its oppressive weight. It was then that she saw it, a shadowy figure lurking among the trees, its eyes gleaming with a malevolent light. For a moment, Emily was frozen in terror, unable to tear her gaze away from the creature that had haunted her dreams for so long. But as she watched, the figure began to take shape, its form coalescing into something both terrifying and familiar. It was the Sleeping Horror, its twisted visage contorted into a grotesque parody of humanity. With a primal scream, Emily reached for the ancient talisman she had obtained in her quest for answers, holding it aloft as a beacon of hope in the darkness. But even as she did, she knew that her fate had already been sealed. For in the realm of dreams, there is no escape from the horrors that lurk within the shadows. And as Emily closed her eyes and succumbed to the darkness, she knew that she would never awaken again. As dawn broke over the horizon, the town of Hollowbrook lay shrouded in silence, its secrets buried beneath layers of forgotten lore. And as the sun cast its golden rays upon the sleepy town, the legend of the sleeping horror faded into obscurity, once more destined to be whispered among the shadows for eternity.